Excuse the background sound, I've got a dehumidifier going back here. Part 5 of the Sonic.EXE tutorial series. Finally here, we're moving on from Tails. I've covered about everything I can with Tails for now. Maybe in the future I'll cover up some more detailed stuff like the black rings, or I could actually cover that towards the end of the series once I've done all the characters. But now we are moving on to Knuckles, and I'm going to start with Knuckles' punching ability. It's just something that you can add in general for anything, and then I'll show you how you can make him punch some EXE ghosts. One more thing I forgot to mention, sorry for posting a big announcement teaser for something and then just disappearing for 2 weeks, I think. I became very demotivated after that point over the break, and then school came back in, so I really wanted to focus on getting back into that. So that's why I'm not getting back into this until now. But you should check out the Rotting a Sonic Creepypasta teaser. It's one of my last fan game that I'm working on after having seven canceled ones. Yeah, there's a whole collection of it because there's just that many. You should really go check out the teaser so that way whenever you're wondering why I haven't gotten a tutorial out, it's because I'm busy working on that. Or other reasons depending on the time of the year. Okay, now let's get on to the video. Like I said before, you might hear the dehumidifier going on in the background, so just excuse that, and we're just gonna get started. So obviously right off the bat, you want to create a copy of the test level as always, unless you have a certain frame that you want to apply this punching ability to. And I will say this, with the Knuckles, with the player skin Knuckles, it is a global object, so whatever you make on one frame, whatever change you make on one frame will apply to all the other frames, unless you uncheck this. So if you only want him to be able to punch for one frame but not be able to punch for another frame, just make sure you uncheck that so that way you only edit that frame. If you want him to have the punching ability for the whole thing, just keep that checked. He'll keep the animation for every frame. But whatever code you have, with the code you're going to have him punch, you are going to have to copy and paste that to every single frame. And I will show you what that looks like right now. So inside of Knuckles here, we have the punch ability right here. I just set this one to not be a global object just so I could do it again for this frame right here. And inside here you can see we have the Knuckles punching code. And then when I run the frame here, I go to Knuckles, I press X, I can punch. And then there's also, if you go over to say this badnik right here, wait for it to come closer, we can actually punch it and destroy it that way. And obviously you can have that, I'll show you how to do that, but then from there you can pretty much do it with anything. So let's get into it. So on here, fresh new frame, Knuckles doesn't have his punching ability, there's no code for it at all. So what we need to do first is add the punching animation, which if you're wondering where we get that, obviously if you have your own, use that, but there is an official animation for Knuckles punching, and it's actually in his ideal animation. It's right around here. After he taps his foot and looks back and forth a few times, he starts just sitting around and kind of punching the air because he's bored. Now in here, they don't have that. He just taps his foot and looks back at you forever. Why they don't have it in here, I don't know, but basically it makes our job harder because we have to manually add it again. So what we want to do is create a new animation, just call it punch, and then on here I'll put this link in the description, the Spriter's Resource, Knuckles' entire sprite sheet from Sonic.EXE. Obviously if you've got your own sprites, use those. Just copy this image. You don't have to, if you want to save it and import it, you can do that, but copying it can be easier. So you can just copy, select here, new frame, and done. You have the entire sheet here, and obviously we only want this area here, so just select this whole area here, starting here, go all the way to here, and then crop it down. Make sure you don't cut out too much of the box area or else it can be inaccurate. And we're gonna copy this frame, and then we're gonna zoom in here and just crop the first frame in here just so we have it, and go transparent color, select the background so that way it's transparent. Now something that these animations here do that I don't like is each frame, the box on each frame is meant to fit the exact sprite perfectly. I don't like that. You can see on some there's not too much difference, but this is a good example. You can see how it changes every time just because the sprite is bigger. I don't like that. that is not a way I like of doing it, so I like to keep the hitbox the same for the whole animation and just make sure it's big enough so that way the whole animation fits in there. We do have to move this back about 4 spaces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, because the punching stretches out a little far to the point where it does cut off the screen. So we do just have to move that frame back 4 spots. But we just want to copy this, and then just basically, you do not have to get every single frame because this animation is technically him just standing still, like moving his fists in circles like he's getting ready to punch. So that's more of an ideal. But we don't want him to sit around for too much, we just want him to go straight into a punch. So you could copy one of these, you could copy all of them, you can do what you want. It's really all this over here that we want, but I'm just gonna copy the first frame of this here, and then on the second one we copy, on the second frame we copy and paste it here, we go new, paste it in here, and we're gonna have to move it back 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And you can check by moving back and forth between them, and you can see they are equal. You can look at the feet and you can see they are equal there. And then just copy and paste this frame again, and basically we're going to do this for the rest of the animations here. For this one you may notice it gets lighter here because it does kind of cut off of the box they have here. Obviously that is why we have to move it back 4 spaces, because if I paste it in here it'll ask if we want to make it bigger. No, we don't. We just move it back 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And about this right here, what you can do is click the color picker, click this here, and it selects the transparent colors. So now we can just get a paint bucket, fill it in, and it's gone and done. Now there's something about this frame I don't kind of like, because he kind of just completely swaps sides. Like one fist is out and then all of a sudden the other goes out. I think it's meant to be like those things where when people are fighting and they're getting ready to punch, they kind of have their fist out right by the target and then they pull it back and the other fist goes out and hits it. I think that's what that's meant to be. I am not sure, but that might be all I want to include in there. No, okay, I'll probably, because it's so small, I'll probably just get one more. Okay, did I even, okay, I did. I'll just get one more of these, drag it back over here. Yeah, I like this. That's good enough for me. So once you're done with all the animations here, we can just get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. And now we have this. Now the problem with them right now is they're off center. You can see they look tiny right here, so they'll shoot off somewhere in the screen when we try to play. So we want to go to hotspot. We just want to center it for now, but what you really want to do is it's somewhere around here. I'll figure out the exact point, but I think it's this one right here. This is like the center point where it fits up and matches up with all the other sprites. But you, instead of needing to do this for every single sprite, what you can do is on here hold Alt and then click the spot you want, and then that will apply it to every single sprite, so that way it's there and you don't have to do it. Obviously this is only 5 frames, but when you have lots more frames it works out a lot. So then we want to kind of just reverse this as well, so just take these frames and just cause him to go back. So just copy them kind of like that, so that way he goes out and punches but then goes back in, and then he'll go back to this. And then in here, these settings are really fine for me. If you want to adjust the speed, you can adjust it, but the loop, we don't want to loop it. For once, yeah, don't loop it. Okay, maybe that's a little fast, so I'll turn it down to like 45. Yeah, that should be fine. Just remember, this thing here does play it a little faster than it will play in game. So because I just remembered that, I'm probably gonna set it back up to 45. Okay, so now we have this set up and ready. Something else you should do while it's on my mind, copy these, go into the other direction here, the 16, and then paste them. And instead of manually right clicking and flipping them horizontally each time, what you can do is just click here, flip horizontally, and it does it automatically for all of them. Then obviously make sure your settings here match these ones over here, so I'm gonna make this 45. There we go. So now we have the animation all set up with everything else here. We might have to go back and adjust the hotspot point, but we'll find out when we actually code it in. So now that is done, so now we want to actually work on the code here. So I recommend just creating a new group. Not that you don't have to, it just helps sort out everything better. So we'll just call this Knuckles Punch. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is obviously create the punch trigger. So kind of the key you will press, the thing you will press to cause it to trigger. So upon pressing a key, you can make this whatever key you want. I'm just going to make it X because it's right next to the jump button, and usually X is the most common punching key or the most common action key other than the jumping, which is Z. And even in the original Sonic.EXE, the X key is the jumping. So we have that now. So what we're going to do now is insert some more things, so just a little more limitations. So the first thing we want to insert is comparing an alternative value, and while ground is equal to 1. So what this basically does is checks if we're on the ground, because we don't want him to be able to punch mid-air unless you have an animation for him punching mid-air, which wouldn't really make too much sense if I'm being honest, but if you have something like that, then you can keep that. But for ground of 1, that just makes sure we're on the ground. We also want to go to here, global values, and we want to check game character and make sure set it to 2. Remember, 2 is equal to Knuckles. I think in the debug here, yeah, this shows everything here. So 0 Sonic, 1 Tails, 2 Knuckles, I've gone over this a few times. So also just keep this enabled so you can switch back and forth between characters for now, just to check. But obviously before you publish your game, make sure that that's disabled, because there has been games I've played where they forget to disable that, and I'm switching all over characters, and it's kind of fun to play around with, but it's not fun for the developer. So then we also want to insert a checking direction. So I believe in here there is a value for the direction. I don't really like to bug with that though. I would rather just go to Knuckles here and check compare direction. We'll check this way. So if he's facing this way, first what we want to do is cause him to not be able to move anymore. So that way you aren't able to like move around, or the animations don't overlap each other. So we disable player movement, disable player control, and disable player, player animation. All of these will basically make you completely lose control of the character. That's what you'd kind of want to do if you ever wanted to cause the character to lose control. Just disable all of those. And then on here we want to find, okay, there's Knuckles. So first thing, obviously we want to set the animation sequence to be the punching, and if we are facing this direction, we want to set the direction of the animation to this way. And then something else we want to do, I know we set the animation speed earlier, but the way the Simple Sonic World's code works is that the animation speed will change throughout the animations as they sequence through. So we want to set the animation manually for this one here. So whatever speed you set it to, I'd set it to 45, so I'm going to set it to 45. And that's all for that. And what we want to do is just copy that, change the direction of that to be this way, and then just check if we are facing this way. Now what we want to do is cause it to where when the animation is over, then we'll go back to normal, we'll gain control, and the punching sequence will be over. So that we just have to do Knuckles under animation, has an animation finished, we go down to punch. This is why we added the frames after he finished punching, to cause him to go back, so that way when he's done, he's like goes back to the ideal. When punching is over, then we want to reactivate all of these groups, so movement, control, and animation. Basically just giving us full access to the player again. I don't think there was anything we had to do here. Let's test this out real quick. I think this is all you do for just normal, like, so we switch it to 2, we press X. Okay, like I said, we might have to fiddle with the animation, because as you can see, his shoes are kind of going through the ground there. If we go the other way, Yeah, so it does work basically. We can do the punch. If I'm running and do it, he does stop and continue. See, I told you we'd probably have to go back and readjust him. We go back here, so we had to go down, or no, we wanted to go up one more pixel, so just hold Alt while changing this so it applies it to every single one. Just have it go down one more, and he kind of went a little too far back, so I just want to move that back 2 more pixels. And then we'll do the same thing over here, down 1, back 2 more, and then that should allow it to actually be equal. So let's try that out. That looks a lot better. You can look at his feet and see they're pretty equal in there, and you can see if I go to a different character like Sonic and I press X, nothing happens. I don't lose control, so that is good. That is what we want. So that is pretty much the Knuckles punch. Now I will show off how you can cause him to be able to punch an EXE of some kind. So for making the Sonic.EXE ghost, you probably have your own sprites that you want to use, so you just use those. But for this example, I'm going to use the sprites from the Sonic 2011 remake. And yes, this is the official sprite sheet for all of Sonic.EXE sprites. You can see we have the taunt ones down here because they are actually different compared to the original, which is just one animation. If you use this image too, I'll link it in the description. It may look low quality off here, and if you save it, like click and do save as, it will be low quality. You have to press download right here. I don't know why DeviantArt does that, but the preview is like low quality. You can probably see looking at it, but when you download it, it is to scale and it does work fine if you end up using this one. You most likely have your own EXE, so I'm probably just gonna get off this topic. But we create a new active object, and then we just import the sprite sheet. So obviously I have this one I'm going to use. You pick whatever your background color is, which is this one for me, and make sure it's set to transparency color and not alpha channel. And then we just have all of our sprites here. So this part I'm going to try my best to teach, but since you're probably using your own sprites, since this has to be your own EXE, unless you are for some reason using this one as well, then your sprite sheet could be different, your sprites could be different. So it is kind of the same thing we did for Knuckles. We'll just create a bunch of animations. So like I'll copy this. I like this one better, this one's my favorite. Crop it down. So pretty much the same thing we did for Knuckles. If your sprite sheet is built similar to this one, then you can follow along with it as well. You know, we just have this here. You always copy whenever you want to have a new frame. Copy from here, paste it in there, and as long as the copy boxes you make are the same size as these, then you should be fine and not have to move it around. All of this depends on your own sprites probably. So like before, once you have all of them in there, you can just get rid of these 2 sheets right here. This one, just in case I need it again, I'm going to just create a new animation, just not called anything, and just put it in there just so it's here in case I want to do something else. But for now, this one is just fine. So then we want to get it to center, hold Alt, and then reselect the center so that way it's all in there. Obviously for this one we want to loop it. That is obviously too fast. Alright, yeah, I like this a lot. This animation, I found this animation very funny when I was playing the original one. So we want to copy these as well, put them on the other side here, flip horizontally, make sure the settings are the same. So I think it was 30 I did. Yeah, 30. So just make sure they're the same, make sure they're centered on all sides. So now we have Sonic here, and we'll just name him Sonic. So now what do we want to do with this guy? Well, we can put him here in the frame for now, just so he's in there. But what we obviously want to do is when Knuckles punches him, he teleports to different parts of the screen. So in the original one, he just teleports back and forth to the same spot, so we can set those spots, let's say in this little area here. We'll just make a new group for Sonic. We'll just call it Sonic Teleporting. And then we'll do start a frame, just find the Sonic sprite, there he is. On the teleport, start a frame, set his, you can do X position alone, or you can just do select position and then pick a spot. So I'm gonna do that, but then the X, I'm going to add a little bit to it. Maybe just 300. So I'll set him right there. Obviously this can be set wherever you want, so we just start him here, just go under animation, change direction of animation to be this way because this is the right side spot I want him on, and then this right here can just be the left side spot for him to be on. So he starts right there, and then what we want to do is creating the system for when he gets punched by Knuckles. This is why you test stuff beforehand. I completely screwed up what I was doing back there, so I'm just gonna do it all again. So we want to do animation, which animation is playing, punching, and then we want to check the direction of Knuckles so that way we know which direction he's in. So compare direction, we'll do this one, and then if this sensor, the right sensor, if it is overlapping Sonic, which is right here, then under here we can select his position, make him go back to the normal spot there. If you do this, make sure you do actual XY, and then we can also change his direction. We can do direction of animation, or actually that way would be the way we'd want it to look. So now that we have that, I can basically show you. Oh yeah, and I had the sensors showing. You can see these are the sensors I'm talking about. They just stay there in the front, and it's right where it is. So here's Sonic here. If I touch him normally, nothing happens, but the second I punch him, he goes over to the other side. He is kind of floating, so that is one little issue that we can that one little simple fix. Now we can just copy this, change this one to the blue one on the other side, check if Knuckles is looking this way, still if animation punch is playing, but then we want to set him back to the other way. So that was the X of 300 for me, and then change his direction to look this way. So I'm just gonna real quickly hide the sensors here just so they aren't in the way, but you saw where they are, and you can even show them yourself if you want to have an idea of what's going on. So obviously we have to be Knuckles here. We touch him normally, nothing happens, but if we punch him, he goes over here. If we punch him here, he goes there, and then we've got this basic cycle of him going back and forth. Now see, you can't punch him from this direction while he's over here. You have to punch him from here, and just like over here, you can't punch him from here. You have to punch him like that. So obviously you can have barriers here, whatever. You can have some cool effect happen when he teleports. If you have a specific animation that plays when he teleports, then you have that too. But this is basically everything. You have the punch ability. If you want to have a UI on the screen showing how to punch, you can do that too. But this is basically we can punch him, he goes back and forth, and we can just keep going until finally an event is triggered. Oh right, I can't believe I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video, but we are, at the time I'm recording this, we are super close to 900 subscribers. Just 100 more and then we hit that 1K mark. The number might already be 900 by the time before this comes out, but if it's not, then we're so close. I think we're at like 897 as I'm recording this right now. But that's part 5 on Knuckles' part. That should be it. I will see you on the next video. If there's anything else you want me to show how to do for Knuckles, let me know, because I actually cannot really think of anything. And if I can't think of anything, if no one else can think of anything for just Knuckles' part, then I might just straight up move on to Eggman. But just let me know, and if I can't think of anything else, I will just do that. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.